we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny. It's not fun. Nothing's funny to me. I don't want to go out there and get embarrassed on Monday Night Football in front of everybody.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
So ain't nothing changed from yesterday. Still the same person I was yesterday, and I got the same thing for you that I had yesterday. You know why I'm here.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
You bet it does. Welcome, everybody. Have a Tuesday. Glad you're with us on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. My name is Matt Shepard, and the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can text the program, Sports Radio, to 21,000. Had a friend of mine, and we are with you Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Had a friend of mine last night tell me, I'm a little concerned. And I said, what are you concerned about? Is this regarding the Tigers? And he said, yeah, I'm a little concerned. And he said, I think it's justifiably so. I'm concerned about Colt Keith. And I said, okay, what's the deep concern there? Well, they gave him some money. They gave him an extension. Hasn't really proven anything. Don't disagree with that. I said, Atlanta had some success doing that. They did it with Acuna. They did it with the Albies. They did it to a certain extent with Riley. They did it with Ian Anderson. I mean, it's like, well, I don't know, man. I think there's a reason for concern. I said, we're talking 3 games. I don't think it's a big deal. What did Colt Keith do last night? He hit 2 for 3. He was on base 4 times. Tigers get their first win of the season. They take care of business in Seattle. Probably made you a little uncomfortable in the ninth. I get it. And they scored a couple of times. 9-6 the final. They scored 6 in the first inning, batted around then some. Bottom of the third of the lineup was the key. And I'm not asking you to suddenly buy Dylan Dingler. I'm not strongly suggesting Trey Sweeney is the second coming of Cal Ripken Jr., and I'm sure as hell not going to try and convince you that Javier Baez is fixed. But collectively, those 3 players went 9 for 15 with 5 runs batted in. Riley Green hit his first homer of the year, and the key, this is vital, Detroit 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. You know the numbers we gave them to you yesterday about what they did with runners in scoring position against the Dodgers. It was the key to the series. That and home runs. Dodgers out homered them 9-3. So this is why it's not always about the long ball. I get it. People want to be Aaron Judge. He was American League Player of the Week by smacking 4 homers and batting .545. You'd love to have a Ellie De La Cruz night like he had last night with a couple of bombs and 7 RBIs. I understand that too. But it's about extra base power. It's about slugging. And I've said this for a long time. This is the way baseball is. If basketball is about the 3-point shot, and if football's a now throwing league, when it used to be a running league, when you had the greatest running backs in the history of the sport, whether it be Walter Payton or Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith, wink, wink, Eric Dickerson, Earl Campbell, Marshall Faulk. The key is the ability to run the football back then. Now you have to throw the football to advance. It's not too dissimilar in baseball where things are different now. It is about slugging. And perhaps it's not all that different. We're just paying more attention to it. I'll grant you that. But it's about slugging. Detroit had 3 doubles and a home run. You need those extra base hits. You need the power. And Detroit put a little bit of a display of power last night. Jackson Jobe did not get the win and didn't deserve it. He gave up 3 runs, a couple of homers in 4 innings, left with a no decision. I think you will see, and this is something I warned you about before this season began, where are the starter innings come from? You know who's getting them? And it's early, but the Chicago White Sox. They're getting them. They're getting a lot of deep starts. The Tigers will rely on a couple of guys in that regard. Jackson Jobe is, and they're going to ease him into this. All right. There's no way you thought he was going 7, did you? No. Okay. The pitch count had to be about right for him to go 6. He was decent early on, right? I mean, 7 out of 10 first pitch strikes. You like that? Love the fact that there were certain pitch counts where you thought you might get a certain pitch, and he went with something different, keeping them off balance. You want to watch something key? And by the way, Teoscar Hernandez hit a homer again last night. You want to kill something key? Look at strikes thrown. That's a key for Chris Fetter. He tells his pitchers, you've got to throw strikes. Let's not walk anybody. We don't want to walk it. Don't give people free passes. And they did a pretty good job early on of that, but overall 6 walks allowed by Tigers pitching last night. Who cares? They get the win. Game 2 of the series is tonight. Casey Mize throws against Logan Gilbert. Tigers have placed Gleyber Torres on the 10-day IL with a strained oblique. Justin Henry Malloy was called up and immediately paid dividends. 2 for 4, including a double to start the game. Got things rolling. He also had a couple of walks. So he was on base 4 times and drove in a run as well. Kerry Carpenter, and this is where Tigers fans jump all over it, and I understand it. I do. When you see a guy have success, you're constantly thinking, I want to see more of him. Why wouldn't you, right? It was a lefty on righty matchup with Emerson Hancock out there. And that's a good win. I mean, Emerson Hancock, you know, I know he was only 4-4 a year ago. I'm telling you, man, well, you watch that kid at Georgia, and I know it's different. He's got a live arm, had really good stuff overall coming into the draft, has not taken off like many people have expected from a high draft pick. Tigers beat him up, only lasted a third of an inning or so, or was it 2/3? 2/3 of an inning, gave up 7 hits and 6 runs, and Detroit batted him all over the ball yard. Spencer Torkelson, a couple of hits last night. It's good. I mean, I think I tweeted this out. I think he looks, you know, nobody's getting fixed and nobody's broken at this stage of the year. Nobody. Don't want to read too much into it. But he looks really comfortable. And it's not always about the pitches you swing at. Oftentimes, it's the pitches you take. The pitches you're looking at and you're spitting on. That'll tell you something about a hitter. 9-6 the final. Detroit with their first win of the season. Red Wings are back to work tonight. When they visit St. Louis, Detroit sits 3 points back to the second wild card spot in the East. And here's our poll question. What do you expect from Jackson Jobe? Is he going to be the American League Rookie of the Year? Double-digit wins, a trip to the minors, or will he take over the number 2 spot in the rotation? Try to be realistic, if possible. You can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We'll give the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. Plenty to get to regarding the Tigers and a little bit of post-NCAA tournament analysis on Michigan and Michigan State. We'll get to that coming up as well. The phone lines are always open for you, 866-838-4843, or text the show Sports Radio to 21,000. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Ferris Coffee.
Huge here for my good friends, the Godfather, Ronnie and Drew at Impact Power Sports. Now, they're located on 14 Mile Road in Rockford, just north of GR. They service the entire state, family-owned business. They've been in operation since 2015, and what they provide, custom golf carts, or you need a golf cart for your home, the lake house, business, and event, ATVs, UTVs, e-bikes, and also they have the best service team in Michigan when it comes to fixing your golf cart, your ATV, your UTV, and more. What you need to do is follow Impact Power Sports on Facebook and also stop by and see the Godfather and Drew at Impact Power Sports on 14 Mile Road in Rockford, just north of GR. Go see the Godfather and Drew today at Impact Power Sports.
No sticks, no pucks, no goals, and no holds barred. It's Bare Knuckles Ice Walls, coming to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Saturday, June 14th. 900 square foot ice box, 90-second rounds, 2 combat fighters, and they're on skates. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Tickets starting at $50. On sale now at the box office or agents.com. History in the making. June 14th at Soaring Eagle. Doors at 6. Show at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Who needs a pub?
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
18 after the hour. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Monday through Friday from 6 until 9. I'm Matt Shepard. Always look forward to conversing with you about whatever is topical. 866-838-4843. That's the Meyer hotline. You can text us sports radio to 21,000. Tigers get their first win, 9-6 over the Mariners last night. Javier Baez played a little third base at the end of the game. That was interesting, right? With a nice play at the end of the game, as I mentioned. Zach McKinstry was in right. This is oftentimes what you get when you get a player playing what I would consider out of position. Julio Rodriguez with a liner down the right field line. Look, there's padding there. Sometimes it can get a little confusing. McKinstry couldn't find the baseball. There's another play where it was a line shot to right, and it was a bouncer, and he grabbed it with one hand. So it's not overly negative, but there are things that I worry about. I had a friend from St. Louis email me last night and said, first of all, what do you read into the Dodgers series? And I said, Josh, I don't read anything into it, quite honestly. Absolutely nothing. And I'm not going to read much into the Seattle series either. I said, at some point, I'm going to come to a conclusion. At some point, I'm going to say, okay, I think this team is this. I may think that going into a season, but you just never know. Don't tell me you saw this coming from the Detroit Pistons. I doubt many people in Cleveland saw this coming from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I doubt you saw, the type of explosion of home runs from the Yankees to begin this season. Sure, it's a powerful hitting lineup, but no Juan Soto. I'm sure you thought to a certain extent they may take a step back. We don't always know. We don't know the reads. We think we do, but it doesn't always come to fruition. So I have an idea of what I think this team is. I think it lacks power. It concerns me. I think it's a bad defensive team. It concerns me. I think it relies too heavily on its pitching like it did a year ago. It concerns me. But we haven't seen this team healthy yet. So things might be different. When I say to you, I'm really thinking that, they lack power. Suddenly, Justin Henry Malloy is up with this team all season long, and the extra base hits go up. Spencer Torkelson makes the proper adjustments like we've seen so far, and the power starts to come from him like it did a couple of years ago. Javier Baez embraces the role of once in a while as a player, and he turns back the clock, and we find something. Riley Green continues to climb the power. There's a lot of things that can happen that we just don't know. Did you expect Matt Vierling to have a career high in homers a year ago? Probably not. Maybe Dylan Dingler adds something that this lineup has been missing. All right? A little bit more consistent bat from behind the dish. Would you surrender Jake Rogers' borderline elite defense for Dylan Dingler's upgrade offensively? It's a question maybe Tigers fans will answer as the season continues. So there's a lot of things that can happen. So he emails me, he says, what do you read into it? I said, absolutely nothing. We were exchanging emails back and forth. It's like, I don't expect to really come to a conclusion at the end of this series either. I said, here's what I do know. My concern right now is this. And I gave him my concerns. And he said, I get it. My concerns aren't going to be alleviated, and they're not going to be heightened either after the first 6 games. When I decide, or when I think I know, I'll have to wait and see. I don't know if it'll be a series. I don't know if it'll be a month, okay? But there'll be something down the road that will click with me, and I'll say, okay, this is where I was wrong heading into the season. This is where I believe I was correct in my assessment. The one thing you're going to have to get used to, and you got used to this a year ago, and perhaps you've been used to it ever since A.J. Hinch took over, and that is you're going to see a lot of different names in the lineup. It's going to be fluid. There aren't many guys who night in and night out are going to stay there. Certain players will stay in if they're rolling. You got Logan Gilbert tonight. You can anticipate a very similar lineup. Why wouldn't you, right? It's another righty, just like Emerson Hancock was a righty last night. So you'll see Kerry Carpenter in the lineup, perhaps Zach McKinstry in the lineup. Trey Sweeney will be in the lineup. I don't know if Dylan Dingler catches back-to-back games. I think a lot of that had to do with his relationship with Jackson Jobe down in the minors, and I think it's a smart strategy on A.J. Hinch's part. When there's a young guy making his debut as a starter, you want as much familiarity as you can possibly get. And I think he gave him that, which is cool. What I liked about Jackson Jobe, and we can't always read body language. It's a hard thing, I believe, in sports. Just like it's like the emotional part of things, right? There are some guys, they just don't get super emotional. Just because Tom Landry was stoic or Bill Belichick is stoic on the sideline doesn't mean they don't care as much as Nick Sirianni does or Dan Campbell. They happen to show it in a different way. But while watching Jackson Jobe, I think to myself, first of all, the moment never looked too big for him. Yes, I get it. Okay, there's a Randy Arozarena home run. That's going to happen, all right? It happens to Tarek Skubal. It happened to Justin Verlander, and it's going to happen to Jackson Jobe. So don't think that he's going out there because he's got great movement on every pitch. There's a learning curve. Even for the best players, there's a learning curve. Barry Bonds had a learning curve. Mike Trout had a learning curve. It happens. So I believe while watching him, I'm not there talking to him. There's a difference watching him in person. There's a difference talking to him the day before a game because you really don't talk to pitchers the day of. Matthew Boyd didn't have a problem talking with people the day of. I'd go in the clubhouse. Hey, man, good luck today. Hey, thanks. And then he'd start talking to me. And I'd be like looking around. Tigers PR is like, why are you talking to the starting pitcher? You don't do that. It's like talking to the starting goalie. You just don't do that. It's not me. He actually started talking to me. I just wished him good luck. But Jackson Jobe is a guy who, from the outset, outsider now looking inside, looks like he's very comfortable. Looks like he knows what he's doing. Just because he doesn't execute every single pitch, and just because he happens to go 3-2 on a player that you think he should be striking out on 3 pitches, doesn't mean that he, doesn't have an idea of what he's doing. Sometimes the pitch just doesn't cooperate. Sometimes the batter doesn't always cooperate. So it's a nice win for Detroit just to, finally get in the win column and give themselves, some positivity moving forward for tonight. And then one more game against Seattle before they come home. And the home opener is Friday. We want to send you there. There's still time. Text Tigers to 21,000 and you could register to win opening day tickets. And here's how it works. You text Tigers to 21,000 on Thursday. This Thursday, Bill Simonson will do the huge show from Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the Ascend Sportsbook. You must be present to win. He'll draw your name. You will get 2-night stay at Soaring Eagle. You'll be driven to and from opening day at Comerica Park. And you will go out to dinner Thursday night with Huge, yours truly, and Craig Monroe. And then if you don't get a chance to win those tickets, you can come back for the watch party on Friday afternoon with me and Simo there at Ascend. Again, text Tigers to 21,000 and you're registered to win. On the other side, speaking of winning and losing, we know that Michigan and Michigan State, their basketball season is over. There is a website out there that gives you whether it was a surprise, a positive, or a negative. We'll get to that and how you think about it when we come back on X's and Bros, brought to you by Ferris Coffee, the official coffee maker of the Detroit Lions.
Huge here from my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he runs Dorn Mayhew's Grand Rapids office in downtown GR. They're one of the world's top accounting and CPA firms. Their worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan on the east side of the state. If you're a business looking to work with professionals who will help you every step of the way, turn to Josh Garvey and his team at Doran Mayhew. Also, don't forget Doran Mayhew brings you Coach Beeline and Josh every Tuesday, talking hoops on the Huge Show across Michigan.
Sumo, sushi, and sake. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Witness a thrilling sumo exhibition and enjoy a curated tasting of sushi, sake, and Asian-inspired cocktails. 2 premium VIP packages available, pricing as low as $59. Performance only. Full pricing options and details at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Experience sumo, sushi, and sake. 7 p.m. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Back with you on X's and Bros Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. NCAA tournament will continue with the Final Four this coming weekend. We know it is chalk. We know it is all one seeds there, okay? It is Auburn, it is Duke, it is Florida, and it is Houston in no particular order. That means, obviously there's only going to be one team left of the 68 teams. So 67 teams are going home. One would think somewhat disappointing. Maybe people in Arkansas are like, hey, this is something we can build upon. Maybe people in Maryland are going, this could be something we could build. Probably not. Considering Kevin Willard left for Villanova and considering Maryland has already lost 2 of their players to the portal and one of them to the NBA draft in all likelihood.
Did you see the rumors that Nate Oates might end up going to Maryland?
I did not see those rumors.
Yeah, Nate Oates might dip out of Alabama.
Well, that might be an upgrade for Maryland. I don't, not that I wanted to get into this, but it to me, this is the hypocrisy of what the NCAA has allowed. We always talk about leadership in sports and leadership in life. The NCAA has no leadership, none whatsoever. But you send when you're in college or when you're a parent with a kid in college, you should be interviewing coaches as much as coaches are interviewing your child. Your coaches can see a huddle video of your kid and see, you know what? He's got talent. He or she's got talent. I want him to be part of our program. Let me get to know them. Then they come and they do some type of, interview where, you want to make sure they're the right fit, right? Character-wise, personality-wise, all those things. You as a parent should be talking to those coaches too, okay? You are going to take my young daughter or my young son and help form them into the woman or man they're going to be in life. It's not just about sports. So you would like some commitment from them too. I remember going through this with my son, and I said, how long has the athletic director been there? Because I want to know if you're going to be there, the coach. This is what I asked these coaches that were recruiting him. How long has the athletic director been there? What's your relationship with the athletic director? Did they bring you in? Did they interview you and decide that you were the person for the job? So you need to go a little bit deeper than just the head coach or the position coach. But ultimately, it's the head coach who's going to be deciding on the playing time and where you're going and making sure your grades are up and all those other things. Well, when you have a guy who's willing to jump as quickly as possible and benefit himself and only himself, like Kevin Willard did at Maryland, there's a lot of things behind the scenes you and I don't know. We're not at College Park, Maryland, for crying out loud. We're reading articles and judging a man based on him leaving and knowing that the bit of a toxic climate is going on in college athletics. Tom Izzo's a rare bird. There are people who are going to bitch about this for a long time, that he can get them to the NCAA tournament, but you're not winning national championships anymore with this type of attitude, this type of philosophy, that you're going to get guys who you want to develop. It's always killed me how we go, draft and develop, Shep. I want to see the young guys play, Shep. Then suddenly you get a coach who actually does it. He's going to play the young guys. He's going to watch them grow. They're going to get better at their game. They're going to get better as the seasons wear on. And then you're going to complain about that. You got to go into the portal, Get with the times, will you? God forbid you actually go out there and take an investment in a student athlete's life. Don't tell me that it's not about winning. You're a hypocrite if you think it's anything but. In a perfect world, you want both. It was okay the way one guy won, bringing in players, and I don't know who that is, okay? I mean, we talked about Dabo Swinney before. I'm not a fan, not a huge fan. A little bit of an oil snake salesman. But you know what he does? He doesn't dip into the portal all the time. It's viewed as archaic. It's viewed as not getting with the times. Oh, team still wins. They don't win national championships, Shep. Okay. How about MSU? They don't dip in the portal, and don't give me Zapala and Fiddler, okay? They don't go into but they win. They get to the NCAA tournament. How's that? I don't know Dabo Swinney. I don't know if I'd probably, take a little bit of a shady and maybe a little bit of a pause. If my son were recruited by him, I'd have to investigate a little bit more. Izzo, you'd have your kid play for him in a minute, right? How are their philosophies any different? Can you explain that to me? You can't. They both do it a certain way. I respect that way. Doesn't mean I always like it, but I respect that way. You got a guy like Kevin Willard who's going to say, I'm out of here. Why? There's probably a lot of reasons. One of those reasons, for sure, is that he doesn't feel comfortable because the athletic director is not going to be around. He's the guy who hired me. He's leaving for SMU, and I don't feel as comfortable. I don't feel as safe. If every coach did that, I wonder how many you would lose. John Beilein was at Michigan. Suddenly you get a new athletic director in there. 2 of them, if you think about it. Did he jump ship? Oh, my gosh. David Brandon's coming in. Guy's never been an AD before. What if he gets rid of me? I think I'm going to leave for Notre Dame. Sorry, Mike Bray. He leaves. Ward Manuel comes in. Beilein could have easily said, you know what? This is making me a little uncomfortable. I better leave. He didn't leave because there was a new AD. He left because of an opportunity to coach at the highest level. So either way, there are certain things and certain people. You can be skeptical of a guy like Dabo Swinney if you want, non-skeptical about a guy like Tom Izzo, but you should vet them as much as they're vetting your child, right? Would you want your child to play for a guy like Kevin Willard, who just before the NCAA tournament is telling anybody who would listen there are certain things that he wants to see in the program. There are certain things he feels like this program is going to need, and I want to be here for it. In other words, I suppose it's an open lie is what it is. He said, we need to make fundamental changes to the program. That's where I'm focused on right now. That's why probably a deal hasn't gotten done so far, extending me, because I need to see fundamental changes done. I want the program to be great. I want it to be the best in the country. I want to win a national championship, but there are things that need to change. So before they can even change, and by the way, he had already been talking about jumping ship to Villanova well before that quote. It's an open lie. Thus, it's a really difficult thing for you to go into somebody's living room, look them in the eye, and tell them sincerely and get them to believe that you have their best interest at heart. It'd be hard for you to accept, wouldn't it? Isn't there a little part of you that would be going, man, just last week, this is what he was saying about the Maryland program, and he had already had Villanova on his mind, ready to bolt for Villanova, and then say all the right things to the Villanova folks. And there was a there was a donor, one of the largest donors at Maryland, who said he played us like a fiddle. Those are damning quotes for a head coach who's trying to go recruit and is going to have to recruit on a regular basis. Either way, Maryland is out, as we all know, and ESPN.com came out with an article that ranked the teams that have been eliminated. And not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but ranked them in the sense, did they underachieve or did they overachieve? And for Maryland, in case you're wondering, they were underachievers. Thought they were going to be better. But the focus for us, of course, is on Michigan and Michigan State. How would this read for you? Would Michigan and Michigan State be underachievers or overachievers? And it's very similar to the poll question we gave you yesterday. Would you determine, as a fan, how would you label their seasons? Yes, for Michigan State, it was a success. No, for Michigan, it was not a success. Both were a success, or neither was a success. Here's what they wrote about First Michigan. Number 5 seed, lost in the Sweet 16, as we know. Overachieving team. Considering where they were a year ago, that's an obvious answer. I don't think you look at it from a year ago. You look at it from this year. And at what point, and this is why, the 5 seed, when it was announced, we said it was underseeded. I mean, they should have been a better seed than a 5. How much better? Not sure, but nobody was convinced that Wisconsin should have been a 3 and Michigan should have been a 5. Nobody. They write, the arrow was pointing unquestionably up in Ann Arbor. In less than 12 months, Dusty May took the Wolverines from last place in the Big Ten to the NCAA tournament second weekend. Historically, that's more like it for a program that saw unprecedented success under John Beilein and during the first half of Juwan Howard's tenure. Isn't it interesting, too, when Juwan Howard takes over, and I don't think he's a very good coach. I didn't think it was the right fit at the time. I actually wanted Mick Cronin. But anyway, I thought when he took over, people said he only won with Beilein's players. Do they say that about Dusty May, do you think? He won with Juwan Howard's players? No, Shep, because he brought in Danny Wolf and he brought Vlad Golden with him, and those are the 2 best players. You're right. And Roddy Gale came over. Sure. Yeah. Certain players left over from a year ago from Juwan Howard. Just wondering. It continues. Things turned south under Howard after an Elite 8 appearance in 2021 and a we were lucky to be here Sweet 16 run as an 11 seed a year later. By 2024, the Wolverines had bottomed out, resulting in May's hiring and quickly rebuilt 27-win roster. Not many expected the Wolverines to turn things around so quickly, but don't expect it again moving forward. May's job will be to take the next step. If he comes even close to matching the results from 2013 through 2022, 1 national title game, 2 regional finals, and 3 more Sweet 16s, he could get a statue next to Bo Schembechler. Okay. Pump the brakes, for crying out loud. John Beilein didn't get a statue. Dusty May ain't getting a statue unless he's there for a long time. Speaking of statues, Michigan State should probably put one up for Tom Izzo. Yes, I believe that. I do. I mean, who's had a bigger impact on Michigan State University, him or Irvin Johnson? It's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, what he's done not for just Michigan State basketball, but for the university itself. So there's room for another statue. I'm not saying Magic Johnson shouldn't have a statue. Spent 2 years there in East Lansing. Mateen Cleaves gives back more than Magic Johnson does. Tom Izzo's meant more to the program than Magic Johnson has. He deserves a statue there. My hope is, I mean, if I were Michigan State, I would unveil it, before the beginning of next year. It'd be a beautiful thing. Here's what ESPN writes about the number 2 seed that left in the Elite 8. Program status overachiever. So both Michigan and Michigan State overachieving. This was supposed to be a good, not great Michigan State team. Were they great? When you win the Big Ten by 3 games, were they great? When you have one of the best defenses in the country, one of the best rebounding teams in the country, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country, were they great? The answer to that is no. They're really good. They weren't great. It says the Spartans were picked 5th in the Big Ten preseason poll, mainly because they were an ensemble cast as opposed to a team of stars. That's a good point. And we've talked about it. Jace Richardson, close to a star, right? Guys had starring moments. There are certain moments during the year where you look at it and you're like, that dude, that's a star play right there, right? That's a star move. But overall, I don't think there are many on the NBA draft boards outside of Jace Richardson. Could be wrong. They write, instead, Coach Tom Izzo did his thing, and the Spartans won an 8-bid Big Ten by 3 full games without a single player named to the first or second all-conference team. You know what's going to be debated moving forward, right? The debate is this his best job coaching? I don't know if it is. He and people close to him, assistant coaches, longtime administrators, would know that better than I would. You can guess at it if you want, but I would tell you this. It's got to be one of his best jobs. Not just because of what took place last year and what was expected of him this year, but the ability to keep a team engaged, the ability to keep a team together without ego, because we all have egos, and get them to have success by pulling the rope in the same direction is really impressive. So it may not be the best coaching job he's done in his career, but it has to be in the conversation for the best coaching job he's done in his career. They close things out in this article by writing, yet those very same Spartans gave Auburn, the tournament's #1 overall seed, a legitimate run for its money in the South Region Final. They are the very definition of overachievers now and virtually forever under Izzo. So that's my issue a little bit when they say they are the very definition of overachievers. They're overachievers in our eyes because we didn't see them coming together like this, like perhaps we should have. I don't know what Tom Izzo was expecting from his team. The expectation I have from Tom Izzo is every year they're going to be competitive. And I think that's fair. He's earned that type of pressure, if you will. That's a good thing. There was a point in time during the season, I'm sure, where he's like, you know what? We get a chance to be something special. When that is, I don't know. But something had to click at some point. It does for every coach. For some coaches, it's before the season. For some coaches, it's at the very beginning. For some coaches, it's a statement win. For other coaches, it takes them a while to recognize it. When it was for Izzo, I'm not sure. I don't know if they're the very definition of overachievers. Perhaps it's other schools like Arkansas. Perhaps it's Ole Miss. Perhaps it was Purdue when you lose the National Player of the Year 2-time. And you get as far as they did and push a #1 seed to the final seconds. Perhaps it's something like that. But virtually forever, I don't know if that line is referring to that specific Michigan State team or forever moving forward, because they don't think that he can get the big recruits like he used to. Either way, the expectations are going to be higher for next year. Phone number on the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text the show Sports Radio to 21,000. How much of a problem do you think the NBA has with its draft? We're going to talk about that when we come back on X's and Bros. This hour has been brought to you by Ferris Coffee. Stay with us on a Tuesday morning throughout the state of Michigan.
No sticks, no pucks, no goals, and no holds barred. It's Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Coming to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Saturday, June 14th. 900 square foot ice box, 90-second rounds, 2 combat fighters, and they're on skates. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Tickets starting at $50. On sale now at box office or etix.com. History in the making. June 14th at Soaring Eagle. Doors at 6. So that's at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Bare Knuckles Ice Walls. Who needs a pub?
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The huge show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Second hour of the program. Glad you're with us on this Tuesday on X's and Bros. Tomorrow, Pat Ferschweiler, the outstanding head coach for Western Michigan University, the 1 seed, the champions of the Fargo region, will join us at 7:35. We will talk Western Michigan hockey and college hockey in general, since you want upsets, right, from the NCAA basketball tournament. You didn't really get them. You got them in college hockey. It's not the upset we wanted. Sure didn't want Michigan State to lose to Cornell, for crying out loud. I don't know if people would call Western Michigan a surprise. They lead the nation in wins, they're second in goal scored. And I don't know how many people expected the Broncos to win it, but it is their first time. It's Penn State's first time in the Frozen Four as well. So you got it in college hockey, you just don't know about it. And you don't know about it because the NCAA tournament doesn't care about it. The NCAA does not care about college hockey. They care about college basketball. They care about women's college basketball. They care about college football, and that's about it. All right. There are certain times where perhaps they do. It does matter to them. Maybe when teams get to Omaha for college baseball and the World Series. Maybe the Frozen Four in St. Louis. Let's see how packed it is. I hope it's jam-packed. But the NCAA sure doesn't promote it very well. And quite honestly, I don't think college hockey does either. But we will talk with the coach tomorrow. Really excited about it because he's done a hell of a job. And what a pride factor it must register with him, knowing full well that he is a graduate there, went to the NCAA tournament 3 times as a Bronco player, and now leads them to their first ever Frozen Four as their head coach. You want to root for somebody. I don't care what your allegiance is, man. I don't care if you're a graduate of Michigan or Michigan State or Central Michigan, since Central Michigan and Western are supposed to be rivals. That can always be debatable these days, okay? But either way, no matter where your allegiance lies, it'd be cool to root for Western Michigan because you want a great story, you want a great sports story, there you go, right there. The big dogs are out for the most part. I mean, BC out. Denver is still in, and that's who Western has to play loud. But there are certain teams that you're used to seeing on a regular basis, and now you get 2 that are in there for the first time, and maybe it spurs something moving forward. Who knows? But it's a really cool story. Really cool story. So he's going to join us tomorrow at 7:35. Before we dive into this NBA and the issue they have right now, it's a big issue, I think. But it's been an issue for a long time. There are certain toys guys love to buy in life. I love going to golf stores and just dreaming of getting a brand new set of irons on a regular basis, even though I like my irons. I like my Ping G30s. I do. But, I think sometimes I could get a little more out of my irons. And then I have to reflect and think to myself, maybe it's your game. Maybe it's not the equipment. It's probably the game. So improve your game first before you start wanting other things. But there are certain toys that you don't mind going and trying to buy. Lawnmower. I have to get a new lawnmower. I took my lawnmower in for service, for quote unquote maintenance. And I got a call and it says, there's 2 screws not holding the motor on. It's interesting. You need something else new. You need a couple of belts. It's going to cost closer over $450 to repair the lawnmower, and we don't think it's worth it. You're better off buying a new one because you're basically going to buy a new one. By spending that much to help this one and repair this one, you might as well buy a new one. Okay, I really liked that lawnmower. Do you have something like that? No, they don't sell them like that anymore. This isn't a push behind where you got the rotating blades. So don't think that I'm that old guy. But there are certain things that I'm sure you feel the same way. There are certain things you really like and you stick with it. Could go to a restaurant and order the same meal because you know what you're going to get. Boom. You may drink the same beer on a regular basis because you know what you're going to get, right? Ferris Coffee, you know what you're going to get. Even though Meyer sponsors this hour of X's and Bros, Ferris Coffee sponsors the first hour, you know you're going to get the best coffee there is out there, available in 50 states. So you go with it. You go, I buy it there, I move on, right? You can go to Meijer and buy Ferris coffee. What do you do when it's not available? What's plan B? Then it requires research, talking with friends. What do you use? Well, I've got a I got a ride behind. Oh, I can't afford that. I've got a tractor. Can't afford that. I have a service do it. I can't afford that. It's not like one of those things you can test drive, right? You're not going to a dealership and saying, hop in, here we go. I'm kind of excited about the whole process, but it's also annoying. Wasn't annoying last night, in case you missed it, in Seattle. Tigers get their first win of the year. They played 6 in the first. It's interesting. Justin Henry Malloy goes 2 for 4 at Toledo. Gets a call, hey, we've got a problem, or the Tigers have a problem, and you're the solution. Great. What is it? Gleyber Torres is going on the 10-day IL. He's got a little bit of an issue here. What is it? Does it really matter? No, but it's a strained oblique. So they need you in Seattle. Boom, packs a bag, gone, right? Gets to Seattle, you're leading off. You're the designated hitter, and you're leading off. Doubles. And goes 2 for 4. So good for him. Pretty fired up for Justin Henry Malloy, who I had a chance to talk to a couple of times. And by the way, it wasn't just 2 for 4. He was on base 4 times because he walked twice. That's an encouraging sign. He had 2 walks. Cole Keith had 2 walks. Not too many strikeouts, which is great. How many is too many? Great question. They only had 5. Either way, Justin Henry Malloy fits right into that lineup. I wanted him coming out of spring training. Did not want Manuel Margot. Manuel Margot has been pretty good. At least in the Dodgers series, he was pretty good. If Justin Henry Malloy shows that kind of extra base power, you'd like some home runs too, but if you get some extra base power and he sticks and stays for a little bit, it could be a little bit of a difference maker. Spencer Torkelson's power, a difference maker. Added power down the lineup, up and down the lineup, would change my mind about this team greatly. Riley Green with his first home run. 9-6 the final. Jackson Jobe lasted 4 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, walked 4, bit of a problem. Did strike out 3, but also gave up a couple of home runs. A no decision for him. Tyler Holton got the win. Game 2 of that series is tonight. It is Casey Mize against Logan Gilbert. And by the way, the one statistic, and we dwelled on this, and everybody did, and rightfully so, the statistic against the Dodgers, the thing you thought hurt them more than anything else, because they out-hit LA, they drew more walks than LA, was the runners in scoring position. They only had 4 hits with runners in scoring position the entire series against LA. Against Seattle in one game, they were 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. I mentioned the Gleyber Torres situation. Think about who's on the IL right now. It's Gleyber Torres, it's Alex Cobb, it's Matt Vierling, it's Parker Meadows, it's Wenzel Perez. Pretty important pieces to your 2025 puzzle. Keep that in mind as we move forward. And the Red Wings are in St. Louis tonight. And our poll question for you, what do you expect from Jackson Jobe this year? Rookie of the year, double-digit wins, a trip to the minors, or take over the North 2 spot in the rotation. High expectations for the most part. I think a lot of people feel that way. It'll be interesting to see what the final results are, and we'll give them to you tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, the NBA, as popular as it may be for most people, it does have a problem. We'll discuss it with you when we come back on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. We're brought to you this hour by Meijer.
sumo, sushi, and sake. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Witness a thrilling sumo exhibition and enjoy a curated tasting of sushi, sake, and Asian-inspired cocktails. 2 premium VIP packages available, pricing as low as $59. Performance only. Full pricing options and details at SoaringEagleCasino.com. Experience sumo, sushi, and sake. 7 p.m. May 31st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDIThePizzaMan.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with MPerks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in MPerks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See MPerks.com for details.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The huge show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
How difficult is it for you to change your mind on somebody? I think it's really hard. I've said that for a long time. I read this article in a quote from Calvin Sampson, and I thought right away, that dude gets it. It's old school, and we'll get to the NBA thing here in a minute. It's old school, yeah. What's wrong with old school? Why is that viewed as negative, do you think? Because even when I was a kid, it was, well, this is old school with certain players. Dick Butkus, for example. Oh, my God. Do you always want to hear about the past? You want to live in the present, but you don't always like the present. So what is wrong with old school?
It's only a negative if it's viewed as holding you back. You know, like we talked about the whole get with the times thing, the 6 o'clock hour. If people view it that way, then that's why they have the old school beef. You know what I'm saying?
Tom Izzo's old school.
Absolutely.
Okay. What's wrong with that?
I don't think a damn thing is wrong with that.
Well, he's not with the times, though. He's not with the times.
Right. But it doesn't seem to be holding Michigan State back.
Well, it did last year.
Yeah. They won the Big Ten this year, you know, ups and downs. Still made the tournament last year, won a game.
Okay, I used Dabo Swinney as an example.
Yeah.
Won the ACC.
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody saying that. You know what I hear people saying? He doesn't do the portal. He doesn't get with the times.
Yeah, people killed him for that.
We pick and choose. That's what we do. We like a guy. We like a program. We respect the program. We live in a certain area. We love him. Somebody outside our comfort area, somebody we don't know quite as well, here's what we do. We read about it. Boy, he doesn't do it. Shame on him.
Right.
Different
There's no
rules.
consistency.
Right. No consistency. Different rules for different people. I suppose that's life. Calvin Sampson is old school. Not because he's an older guy, because there's plenty of older guys who adjust. I've always found it funny, especially in college athletics. I don't know if you can really put him. Why not? He's a little bit older. Bill Snyder was, 72 coaching Kansas State and winning divisions, winning conferences. All right? Older coaches in college basketball. Bobby Knight was still successful late in his career. Tom Izzo is successful late in his career. Dean Smith was successful late in his career. Roy Williams, successful late in his career. Mike Krzyzewski, successful late in his career. John Wooden, successful late in his career. Those guys are all old, Shep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're telling me it's old school. Not everybody has to be 28 years old. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just telling you, why is old school bad? It's immediately viewed as a negative. Calvin Sampson recently said, if you don't want problems, don't recruit them. It's a great quote. I don't recruit entitlement kids. There is no way that I recruit a kid unless I know that he will buy into the way we do things. Great teams don't have passengers. This isn't a ride. It's a responsibility. How great a quote is that? That's old school. It works. Who's left in the tournament? Duke and Florida have young coaches. Houston has an older coach, right? Obviously, I just mentioned it, Calvin Sampson. Tennessee
Auburn.
Auburn's got. I would say.
Yeah,
I would say Bruce Pearl is a bit of an older coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he's old school. Maybe he's, maybe the dancing is enough for people. Maybe the comment, hey Tracy, you know what we're doing? We're going to the Final Four. Maybe that's it's the Kevin Garnett moment. Anything is possible. Maybe that's not old school. I don't know. Brian Kelly's old school, yet at LSU, when he first gets there, he can go up there and do some stupid dance. I don't know. But it's interesting we've got that. I mean, Rick Barnes in Tennessee were in the Elite Eight, old school. Tom Izzo and the Spartans in the Elite Eight, old school. It's, for me, John Calipari, Arkansas, old school. I think there's a little bit of a follow the leader type mentality when it comes to us in the sports world thinking that certain guys or certain ladies as head coaches are too old to coach. They can't relate to players. They have said that about coaches forever. You know that, right? Like they said, it's interesting that Bill Belichick is now the coach at North Carolina, and look at how old he is. Don't judge him based on his girlfriend. She's 24 and hot. He's 72, and how that happens, I have no idea. Money, yes. Fame, sure. I don't know. It's very convenient for us to use that phrase with coaches, thinking everybody's got to be really young, when there's plenty of guys who are old and they can still do the job. At every sport. If you can do the job, if you can reach your players, what difference does it make how old you are when you're coaching? Do you still have the drive to go out and recruit and do what's necessary to win? Kelvin Sampson obviously does. Let's get to this NBA thing. It's just a thought that I had while reading that quote from Kelvin Sampson. Get to this NBA thing. The NBA has, some people would argue, a lot of issues. A lot of issues. And I believe one of them is coming up with the NBA draft. And I think we talk about this pretty regularly around this time of year because it's about what? Tanking. Teams are going to do this seemingly forever if there is a certain player that you feel like you have to have. Now, who is that player? Cooper Flagg would probably qualify, right? I mean, he's a really good player. He's going to go first overall. He should go first overall. He's a 6'9", do everything type of guy. I like him. Don't give me the Duke stuff, all right? Get out of that. Lose that from your mind. I hate Duke. Why? Well, because they win. Oh, but when your team wins, everyone's supposed to love you, right? When Michigan football is winning and you're saying, go blue, people are supposed to chime in, right? When Michigan State makes the tournament again and everybody's like, oh, I'm sick of it, turn the page. You want everyone to say, hey, wear the block S. Okay, go green, go white, right? But you can't like Duke because they're really good. Well, they always get the best players. Well, you know what? Your program could too if you won. John Shire picking up where Mike Krzyzewski left off. Shire, really good player, good story, right? Former captain, won a national championship there, doing something similar there with his program. I think it's a pretty cool story, quite honestly. And they've had some of the best college basketball players of all time. Whether or not you thought they should have been better pros like Bobby Hurley, that's fine. But overall, they've had some of the best college basketball players of all time. I've made this argument. I think Christian Laettner is the best college basketball player I've seen. I'm not saying he's better than Pete Maravich, Lou Alcindor, or Bill Walton, but from what I saw, when you go to 4 Final Fours and you win 2 of them, you have the iconic moments like he had. He's one of the best college basketball players of my lifetime. But there's a tanking problem in the NBA. Shocker. There's been a tanking problem. Right now, legitimately, you have Washington and Charlotte and Philadelphia and Utah and New Orleans. New Orleans just took 2 starters, put them on the shelf for the rest of the year. It's blatant. It's open. How offensive is that to you? It doesn't seem to bother enough people. Or maybe I'm just overly sensitive to it. This hour is brought to you by Meijer. The Meijer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can text the show Sports Radio to 21,000. It can be about anything you want. Doesn't have to be about what we're talking about. We've talked about a lot about the Tigers, but we know you're tuning in and out at times. So feel free with a comment via the Meijer hotline or our text line here on X's and Bros on a Tuesday morning.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
I don't know if people noticed it because the Pistons weren't playing last night. So I don't know how much of the NBA you follow. But Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum done for the rest of the year in New Orleans. It's a good thing for Pelicans fans, considering they're 21 up and 54 down. It's a team that is vying for a lottery spot. They're going to get a lottery spot. How does the NBA fix it? We were talking about this the other day. The NBA is lost when it comes to its All-Star game. And it's, I think, lost when it comes to its draft lottery. They've got serious problems. Teams, I don't know who in their right mind goes to a game to support a team that basically, I mean, in your face is telling you, we don't care. This is not about this year. If you're not about this year, then why do you expect the fans to be about this year? Maybe they don't. Washington eliminated. Charlotte eliminated. Philly eliminated. Brooklyn eliminated. Utah eliminated. New Orleans eliminated. Look, if I were New Orleans, I'd do the same thing. Okay? You are where you are right now for a reason. So I wouldn't risk the injuries of my guys either, unless they truly wanted to play. You understand what you could possibly get. On the other hand, don't. It's such a hypocritical move. You're out there with marketing and advertising tools to try and draw interest to your team. TV, radio, internet, social media, all these different things, trying to tell people, hey, come watch us play. We've got a family deal for you. General managers walking into arena, looking around and going, boy, we don't have many fannies in the seats. Why is that? I don't know. You just put your two best players on the IL. They're not playing the rest of the year. You want something from me. Here's what I ask for from you. It's a give and take in sports, is it not? Because you as a fan, there are ways to use your entertainment dollar. With the price of a lot of things going up, and your time demanding. Time is money, right? So when they're asking you, can you please come here for a minimum of 3 hours? By the time you park, by the time you pay, by the time you get inside, game over, time you get home, schedule disrupted, they're asking you for time. And it's valuable to you. They're asking you, here's what you're asking in return. Can you give me a product worth going to? That's the hope. You're not getting it if you're seeing your favorite team's two best players sitting out the rest of the year. How do they fix it? They've tried. They've had all kinds of issues with conspiracy theorists, Knicks, Spurs in the past, cold envelopes, you name it. You have teams that are openly and obviously trying to position themselves to get the highest percentage opportunity to get the number one overall pick or a higher pick, because this draft is believed to be a little bit deeper than those in the past. I don't think the NBA should copy what the WNBA does very often. The WNBA continues to shoot itself in the mouth. The people who cover the WNBA continue to shoot themselves in the mouth or stick their foot in their mouth. I mean, there was somebody on ESPN yesterday. Somebody asked, they were talking about the WNBA, and what did they say? What's the attraction to Caitlin Clark? I don't know. She's a great player. It's possible. But the analyst actually said, well, she's white. I mean, what does that have to do with anything? Are you kidding me? She's from the Midwest and she's white. This was the analyst. This is a person who does New York Knicks basketball saying, well, she's from the Midwest and she's white. Huh. Because there's an NBA star from the Midwest and he's black. And everybody loves him, including our producer. Why is that never brought up? Oh, I see. Okay. Now I get it. How about just the fact that she's a great player? I have never, think about this for a minute. Can you imagine the NFL giving Tom Brady this type of treatment? Can you imagine the NBA giving Michael Jordan this type of treatment? Sidney Crosby, Wayne Gretzky, Alexander Ovechkin, this type of treatment?
No, because like you said, those leagues embrace their talent, embrace their stars.
Think about what 1980, everything changed for the NBA. Everything. This was a league that was viewed as, a thug league. There were fights on a regular basis. They played in cruddy arenas. Their TV contract was basically nothing. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird turned everything around. Everything. Magic Johnson and his love and his passion and his creativity and his talent. Larry Bird for his stoic and talent. And I'm going to show you type attitude. Okay? Everything. They deserve so much more than they get. We talk about it, but what else? And I don't mean like financially, but the credit is when people talk about the greatest players of all time, and they're always mentioned. They're not Michael Jordan. They're not LeBron James, probably. Some people don't even think they're Kobe Bryant. That's fine, because that's all very subjective. But I'm not sure enough is made of the impact that they truly had on this league. They said it about early 80s, but even today, how it lives today is still based on what they were able to do. The WNBA, in most business cases before last year, should not exist. Most businesses would say, I'm losing this much money. I'm out. I've given it a long enough track. I'm out. It's not like this is a brand new league any longer, right? Okay. You get somebody to come in and changes everything. Merchandise, television contracts, the way you travel, the amount of buzz you get, everything. And she gets treated like she's a leper from the media and a lot of the players. It's incredible. It really is. So I wouldn't tell the NBA, copy what the WNBA is doing, except for this. They base their draft, the pecking order, on a 2-year span, not just a 1 year. How have you done over the last 2 years might determine where you should be picking this coming season. You take a certain percentage. How would you do? Because right now it's I'm tanking so I can get there instead of building to look forward. And it's really too bad. It is filled with some of the greatest athletes on this planet. It can still be super entertaining. I was talking with a friend of mine last night. I love the way the Pistons play. I really do. I mean, it's fun. They're good. They're versatile. They're a fun team to watch. And I know it's not always about, hey, you're really fun to watch, but you stink. Most fun teams to watch win. There's not many people right now saying, you know what? Here's what I can't wait for. What's that? I can't wait to go watch Utah play. They're 16-60. It's not a fun team to watch. They've lost 6 in a row and 9 of 10. I can't wait to go watch the Jazz tie up those laces and go jump it up. Most teams that are fun to watch are the teams that are winning. So I get it. But how many teams out there right now are openly going, we're done. We've licked the stamp. And now the league's got to go, well, there is legitimacy there. We were talking about it last year with the Pistons. and Cade Cunningham. Now more and more teams are talking about it just outside Detroit, and we don't necessarily care too much about it because it's not the Pistons, and that's fine. But the league has some issues, man. Some major issues. And it makes me wonder a little bit, how can it remain, because it's still very popular. I mean, the people who say, sorry, this really isn't as popular as you think. No, look, there's a lot of people in the stands there, right? They still have the big time contracts, television contracts. People still care about what certain athletes are doing. There's a constant social media buzz about what these certain players are doing. All right. One of the biggest stories in sports this year, no matter the sport, was what? The trade of Luka Doncic from Dallas to LA. All right. So it's still a massive deal. But it is interesting for a league that seems to do a lot of things wrong, that they're able to stay as popular as they are. There's another example. Memphis is a team that if the playoffs started today, they'd be in the playoffs, right? They've lost their star, Jay Morant. Some of his off-court problems are a different story. But he's only played 43 games this year because of injury, and his team has struggled as you would expect without him. At one point, I think they were 16-14 without him. But they're still in a playoff spot. They fired their coach. Taylor Jenkins out. Last year, they told him, we want you to fire all your assistant coaches. This year, they fired him and two of the coaches that he had to get approved to bring on board. I don't know if it's a power struggle. We're not in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't know. But we do know that Jenkins led his team to the playoffs 3 times, notched back-to-back 50-win campaigns, has a top 10 offense, top 11 defense, has made some decent playoff runs. They have struggled recently, no question. They've struggled against winning teams too. But apparently, it's not good enough in the middle of a season. Changes take place. I don't know if this is an indictment on the team in general or the league. What does the league have to do with that, right? But here's a guy who has been able to gain some confidence from his players and gain some confidence from his fan base, knowing that here's a guy who is going to keep you in games and is supposedly, based on NBA circles, a really good tactician. And yet, and by the way, he has more wins than any coach in the franchise's history, for what that's worth. I don't know if that means, guys, coaches, we all know this. Coaches are hired to be fired. As much as you may love your coach forever, rarely do you see someone stay as long as Tom Izzo, as Jay Wright, as Mike Krzyzewski, and people like that. But that's at the collegiate level. In the professional level, look, Phil Jackson was let go in Chicago, man. They won 6 championships. That seems a little odd, doesn't it? Pat Riley wore out his welcome in Los Angeles. Seemed a little odd, didn't it? So, those are bound to happen. But in the middle of a season? And again, it's not the league's fault. This is what Memphis has chosen to do. It's the franchise's desire to make this move at this point. Seems rather odd, but it's been done before, I suppose. Not as late in the season, what they did in Milwaukee when they brought in Doc Rivers. Didn't work out. But I mean, this is the franchise's decision, not the league's. But it's all about the perception. When we say this a lot, Trent and his buddies, what's the perception of young people in the NBA? Are they strictly looking, hey, here's Luka Doncic, here's LeBron James, here's Giannis Antetokounmpo, I love, say, Gilgeous-Alexander, give me more Cade Cunningham, Nikola Jokic is an absolute freak? Is it all about the players, or are they recognizing any of the deeper issues that this league might have? No league is perfect, okay? Nobody likes Roger Goodell. Look at what the league is going through right now. They're considering and strongly considering the 18-game schedule. It's going to happen pretty soon. Even coaches are coming out and saying, this is going to be a challenge. Do you care about the health of the players? Probably not until your favorite player gets hurt, right? You just want more. I mean, it's you. You're at an all-you-can-eat buffet when it comes to the NFL. And I'm the same way, man. It's like, give me more. Give me more. Do you care about what this might mean long-term for players? No, I don't. Just please pass the salt and pepper because I can't wait to dive into my second plate of food. Okay? And then it happens, and you're like, God, why is this happening? Why are all these players getting hurt? Oh, because it's an 18-game schedule. So then you notice. Same thing in the NBA. Are you noticing things outside of your silo, your bubble that is the Detroit Pistons? I don't know. I don't know if people are or not. And so I'm sure you were a year ago when there were issues with your team. There are issues this league has got to rectify. And it's not just the NBA All-Star game. It's not just going to be, and it's not going to just get fixed by saying it's going to be Team USA against Team Europe. Let's do a Ryder Cup type deal. Here we go. This is our All-Star festivity. They've got problems with other things going on right now, including this issue here in tanking that has been an issue for a while now. This is not new. It's been an issue for a long time, and people are looking for a way to get it fixed. Speaking of issues, there's an NFL team whose owner has come out and said, yes, we have a problem. It's been a long time. In the words of Bob Seger, blank, I've known that for 10 years. All right? We'll get to that coming up. Some of the things that Brad Holmes had to say at the general managers meetings. We'll talk of that. And there is a really cool article from ESPN ranking the top college football quarterbacks over the last 25 years. Any local ties to that? We'll get to that at 8:35 as we bring you home on a Tuesday morning on X's and Bros. This hour brought to you by Meyer throughout the state of Michigan.
Saturday, July 26th, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Foreigner. Live at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort with special guests Loverboy and Night Ranger. Tickets start at $32 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series welcomes Foreigner with Loverboy and Night Ranger July 26th. Showtime 7 p.m. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
There's a new player in town. Hi, I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking about Eagle Casino and Sports, the real money mobile casino. It's so easy to play. You can go from wager to winner to wallet, just like that.
Sign up now and we'll match your deposit up to $1,500. Or you can get a risk-free bet up to $1,000.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older in Michigan to play.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream. That's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in MPerks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Huge here for my good friends at Insurate. Now, we know inflation is making everything expensive, including your auto insurance. But what if you could instantly compare rates and find big savings? At Insurate, they make shopping for auto insurance fast and easy. One call gets you multiple quotes. Call 231-COMPARE now or visit insure.it. That's 231-COMPARE or insure.it, where smart drivers shop, compare, and save. Insure.it. Save money now.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
When you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Home run! Home run! He hit it a mile! Let's give them the keys to the Hall of Fame, but not tonight. Tonight they are in the Stanley Cup. Steve Eiserman, come get it.
It feels like heaven must be like.
I got one question for you, Michigan Nation. Who's got it better than us?
Right center field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Yes.
This game is over!
Let's put the jump.
They score! Red Wings win. Detroit basketball!
Good win for the Tigers last night. They knock off Seattle 9-6. I tweeted during the game, it's so early on. No one is fixed and no one is broken. But you have to be impressed with Torkelson's approach, what he swings at, and what pitches he spits. I had some replies to that. Some folks, one guy said, I'll be impressed if he handles Comerica. I think it's in his head. That's an interesting take, considering Torkelson has more hits and about the same number of games played in his career at home and away. More hits on the road, more doubles on the road, more homers on the road, more runs driven in on the road, fewer strikeouts on the road, better average, better slug, better OPS, better OBP.
It makes sense. I mean, it's a pitcher's park. I'm sure if you went down the list for a lot of guys, that'd probably be the case, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know if
maybe not all those categories, but
concept by the texter saying, or at least the tweeter saying, you know, I think it's in his head. I don't know if it's in his head. There are, in talking with players over the years, you hope there is a certain place they want to go toward. Is it right center? Is it left center? In Detroit, a lot of times for right-handed hitters, it's center to right center. If you happen to pull the ball, that's one thing, but that's the goal right there, up that gap, up that alley. I don't know if that's his approach all the time. I would guess that's pretty hard to do every single time, considering the pitches that you see. But that's an interesting concept. Here's somebody else. They said, I think our fans give up on guys too fast. I don't think that's unique to this fan base. I think there are a lot of people who give up on players, not just Spencer Torkelson, but overall, I think we give up on players way too quickly. We want instant gratification. Sports and sports fans are no different than little kids today. Before you say to somebody, back in my day, we were able to do this. There were no phones at the dinner table. We had conversations. People could actually look you in the eye. People could actually listen to what you're saying instead of deviating, going off over here and catching something else that somebody else might be saying. Before you do that, understand that you too need instant gratification. It may not be in that space, in that realm, but you need instant gratification in your sports. How much longer do I have to wait for the development of Hendon Hooker? I want to see him right now. Sorry, this guy had a bad year last year. I don't care what he did the year before. I'm done. Then when that player may come back, hey, I'm really happy. I really like him now. Weren't you out on them earlier? You already said, I'm done. I give up. Really? So quickly? Yep, I'm done. Eugenio Suarez, folks. What does that have to do with anything? Tiger fans didn't care one way or the other. They did. They cared later when he showed home run power in Cincinnati. You got big pasta, and you gave him Eugenio Suarez. And people are like, I can't believe we did that. He was named National League Player of the Week last week.
Big pasta. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh, my
throwback.
God. Oh, my gosh. You know what? How are we giving up on young guys, Shep? That's ridiculous. You're giving up on young guys on a regular basis. Dude's 25 years old. I'm done. I don't know if he's fixed. I don't know if he's broken. I just know, for me, this is just my personal opinion, I don't give up on young, talented players. Now, how quickly can you judge Joey Harrington, whether he's talented or not? It's a little different in football. Somebody else said, had a late at bat that started 0-2 and worked it full, fouled off a bunch, eventually flew out to left. It was an 11-pitch AB. The plate discipline was there. It was hard to get a swing and miss. That's encouraging. Little things. Don't look at the box score. This dude's 0-4 and think that's a horrible night.
Yeah, you've got to actually watch.
Sometimes guys have really good at bats, but they don't get rewarded for it. A bloop. Who had the bloop single last night?
Javi? Wasn't it Javi?
Was it Javier Baez? I know.
I think it was.
Okay.
And it dropped, you're saying, in the outfield in between all three guys?
Baez. I didn't think it was Baez. I don't know why I thought it was Trey Sweeney. Either way, somebody had a bloop single to shallow left center field, and they get rewarded for it. But there might be a guy who had an 11-pitch at bat and smoked one to left field as a hard out. Who's got the better at bat? It's debatable, is all I'm saying. So it's a really good point by Vincent, who sent that tweet. The plate discipline. We complain about Javier Baez's lack of plate discipline all the time, don't we? Absolutely, and rightfully so. But are we rewarding, or at least acknowledging, not rewarding, acknowledging other players' plate discipline, even if they're not getting rewarded? Not every great at bat ends with a base hit. Just like not every really good drive in football ends with points. If you're kicking, oftentimes it means, okay, getting a field goal, you're punting it away, at least you didn't turn it over, or you're kicking off. One more. Give him credit. He didn't stop working on himself. I think he has the ability and attitude to have a long career as a Tiger. You first have to fail to appreciate greatness. Go Tigers. Okay, that's fine. That's their opinion. I don't know the answer to that. Again, the hardest part, one of the hardest parts in sports right now these days is saying, I don't know, or I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. Let's see what happens. Okay. You can have an opinion going in. Your opinion may change. But I found that interesting. And especially the Comerica Park suggestion that it might be in his head a little bit. So I wanted to look up those numbers. When we come back, we'll give you the final results of yesterday's poll question. We've got the Daily Wager, a mea culpa by an owner in the NFL, and some comments from Brad Holmes of the Lions. All that coming up as we continue to roll on a Tuesday morning on X's and Bros, brought to you this hour by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for my good friends, the Godfather, Ronnie and Drew at Impact Power Sports. Now, they're located on 14 Mile Road in Rockford, just north of GR. They service the entire state, family-owned business. They've been in operation since 2015, and what they provide, custom golf carts, or you need a golf cart for your home, the lake house, business, and event, ATVs, UTVs, e-bikes, and also they have the best service team in Michigan when it comes to fixing your golf cart, your ATV, your UTV, and more. What you need to do is follow Impact Power Sports on Facebook, and also stop by and see the Godfather and Drew at Impact Power Sports on 14 Mile Road in Rockford, just north of GR. Go see the Godfather and Drew today at Impact Power Sports.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sportsbook app that you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today at Eagle Casino and Sport. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
Casey Mize makes his first start of the season tonight, and I'm really excited about what this season might hold for him. Mize's first year back from Tommy John last year was up and down, but he came back bigger and stronger. His fastball velocity was up 2 full miles an hour. This offseason, he worked on overhauling his pitch mix with 2 new sliders. This spring, he worked on throwing his splitter harder and his fastball down. Mize knows he needs to get more swing and miss, and throwing his four-seam fastball down gets him more swing and miss with his new harder splitter. That splitter was as good as we've ever seen it this spring. If he carries it into the regular season, Tigers might have something special with Casey Mize.
earlier in the show, I thought it was a good segment. We were talking about old school, right? And we used Tom Izzo as an example, and for good reason. Do you believe failure? Sometimes you learn more from failure than success.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. If that's the case, why do we give up on people who fail?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the case always, but it's definitely can be part of the process, you know?
There's no always and nevers. Tom Izzo said that the reason I bring that up is because he said recently I think it was on a podcast, sure wasn't on this show, is anyone going to learn how to fail? It's okay to fail. You don't learn as much from winning as you do from losing. Maybe that's collectively as a team. But what about individuals? Why are we so quick to give up on individuals instead of, seeing how they navigate through tough times? Tough times make tough people. That's what the phrase always used to be, right? Guys, can you recall an athlete who has never failed at anything? I can't. I mean, maybe Floyd Mayweather because he never lost a fight. Would you consider that? Maybe he failed in life in certain other areas. I don't know him that well. I've interviewed him in the 2013 national championship where he, quite honestly, didn't even want to leave. He said, I want to watch the rest of the game here. I said, my partner's coming. I've got to give him the headset. I interviewed him at halftime. So I don't know, man. That quote, that soundbite from Tom Izzo struck me. And it really got me thinking. Who are the guys who I've said, I'm done with? And why do I do that? Are they always young? Can they not improve later in life? Max Muncy. Failed in Oakland. See ya. Goodbye. Would you want his bat in your lineup? I wouldn't necessarily want his glove. I'd take him as a DH, though. Wouldn't you? And it was ironic. There's a Max Muncy in Oakland, spelled differently, and Max Muncy and the Dodgers. Last night, they actually were batting at the same time in different games, obviously. Anyway, those are some of the things that made me think of it. When I hear some of those things that Tom Izzo says, and I truly buy into it, I believe in that, man. There's no doubt. I believe in it. Am I always practicing it? Those are some of the things that I got to figure out, and I got to move forward thinking we're going to have failure in life. Does it mean you're done? Because it seems like with our athletes, and this goes back to some of the tweets I got after tweeting about one specific player last night, I think some of our fans, that's exactly what we do. We think it's a cool quote. We think it's a good quote. It's one to live by because he's wise. He's experienced a lot. And yet, we don't buy in. I'm not saying we should buy in all the time. I don't know. I'm just wondering. Maybe next time we feel the need and a knee-jerk reaction and say, I'm done with this guy. We should think about, hey, young player, learning, still an adjustment. Maybe it's Jackson Jobe. Maybe it's Colt Keith. Maybe it's Jace Young. Eventually it might be Max Clark. I'm just bringing up some Tigers right now. Jamison Williams. I've actually said that too. Where
I think the bigger problem too sometimes is that people will jump to the conclusion and then they don't want to be wrong, so they dig in even when it's they dig their heels in even when there's
100%.
Evidence going against you.
100%. And there before the grace of God go I. I want to be proven right.
Yeah.
More than proven wrong, right?
Especially in this business.
Honestly, there are some people, especially in this business. Especially in this business, there are more people who would root against a team who they support just so they can be right. There's no doubt about that happens. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843, or you can text us Sports Radio to 21,000. Let's get to the final results of yesterday's poll question, and we'll get to the daily wager as well. Yesterday's poll question was, Was the season for Michigan and MSU a success? Now, we talked about this earlier in the show in case you weren't part of it and didn't join us. Is it overachieving or underachieving? An article from a national website said both Michigan and Michigan State overachieved this year. A lot of that, I believe, had to do with where they were preseason picked and based on last season. When I've said this, 100% things can change. Hell, I think opinions change during the game. When Michigan was leading Auburn, what were they up by, Trent? 7, 9, something like that?
Yep, early. 9.
Did your expectations change a little bit?
Yeah.
I think for some people,
and they should. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be runs in basketball. You know that. You're a coach. I mean, it happens, right?
But when you get up 9, it's okay to change your
before the season because they're a preseason 9. Who knows, right? I mean, there's been what these preseason rankings. You got to put them out there. I get it. The preseason top 25, all that stuff. Hell, you get that the next day after the national championship is when they crown Duke or Florida or Houston or Auburn in San Antonio. The very next day, websites are going to say preseason top 25 for next year.
Yep.
Don't know who those teams are because the portal and all that other stuff. You don't know what changes are going to be made. We've got to fill some space.
The best example, or I guess the worst example, is Florida State football from last season.
100%.
They won one game.
Yeah. This year, college basketball, preseason number 1 was Kansas. How'd that work out? Not too good. Now,
one and done.
So, yeah, and didn't even win the Big 12. So, I get all that. But I think expectations change as the year progresses, and suddenly you win one of the tougher conferences in America, and you win it by 3, and you beat some of the teams you beat, and you look as good and deep as possible. I think the expectations change. Anyway, both were considered overachievers. So we asked you, was the season for Michigan State a success? Yes, for both. Neither. MSU, yes. Michigan, no. Michigan, yes. MSU, no. What were the final results?
70% said yes to both. 20% said yes to Michigan. 8% said yes to State. And only 2% said no to both. I'd love to have a chat with those people. But, I love to do like the math on these things. So essentially 90% think Michigan had a successful season and 78% think Michigan State did.
So, but you just got done saying that expectations change.
Yeah, and I think that's why Michigan State isn't as high as Michigan in the poll.
And then you said you'd like to talk with those people who said neither. If somebody voted neither because their expectations changed and they expected Michigan State to be in the Final Four and Michigan to be in the Elite 8, could you have blamed them?
No, and I guess that's the angle that these people are probably taking. I just find it hard to believe. I would find it hard to argue that both programs had an unsuccessful year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can think one or the other. Some people clearly did here. But to say both had an unsuccessful season when Michigan State won the conference and Michigan, won 2 games last year and it's Dusty May's first season, I'd have a hard time arguing both programs were unsuccessful.
Yeah, I would agree with you for the most part. I don't care about last season. All right? I don't. It's Juwan Howard and there's new players. I don't care that it's Dusty May's first season, and I sure as hell don't care about last year since there's a lot of new faces and better faces, I might add. But you're right. I don't judge everything based off the year before.
I don't either, but just from the standpoint of coming in and cleaning up that mess and getting back to the standard that is Michigan basketball,
you get
that's
two
impressive.
second-team all-conference players, and you get 2 big guys. Now, your point could be this. He still needed to know how to use them. And he
Absolutely.
did, and he used them properly. And other players stepped forward at the right time. Trey Donaldson, Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament. Real quick, Daily Wager. Go ahead. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Last night we had Tigers money line. That hit. Tonight we will take Tigers to score first and win. It's plus 230, so there's very good value there. Scored first and win.
Scored 6 in the first last night en route to a 9-6 win. We can talk about it on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text the show, Sports Radio 21,000. If not, we will dive into some NFL discussion. That's next. Stay with us.
In the Den with Dan Dickerson.
Step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sportsbook app that you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today at Eagle Casino and Sport. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
Casey Mize makes his first start of the season tonight, and I'm really excited about what this season might hold for him. Mize's first year back from Tommy John last year was up and down, but he came back bigger and stronger. His fastball velocity was up 2 full miles an hour. This offseason, he worked on overhauling his pitch mix with 2 new sliders. This spring, he worked on throwing his splitter harder and his fastball down. Mize knows he needs to get more swing and miss, and throwing his four-seam fastball down gets him more swing and miss with his new harder splitter. That splitter was as good as we've ever seen it this spring. If he carries it into the regular season, Tigers might have something special with Casey Mize.
Huge here for my good friends at Insureit. Now, we know inflation is making everything expensive, including your auto insurance. But what if you could instantly compare rates and find big savings? At Insureit, they make shopping for auto insurance fast and easy. One call gets you multiple quotes. Call 231-COMPARE now or visit insure.it. That's 231-COMPARE or insure.it, where smart drivers shop, compare, and save. Insure.it. Save money now.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
When Brad Holmes talks, most people listen. At least in Detroit, they do. The starting quarterback is always a topic of discussion in every market, especially Cleveland these days. I mean, when you've got an owner, Jimmy Hasler comes out and says, we made a bid. It was a big swing and a miss. And he comes out and says, look, we took that. We thought we had the quarterback. This is referring to Deshaun Watson. And we didn't. We gave up a lot of draft picks, 3 first-rounders to Houston to get him. So we got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision. It ends with D&I, so I hold us accountable. Actually, that's quite refreshing. It took a while, probably longer than most people would have thought. Most people came to a conclusion pretty early on about Deshaun Watson. Why you acquired him still leaves a lot of people scratching their heads, considering he faced dozens of civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct. Here's a guy who played. Remember, this is a contract. What was the contract? $236 million, something like that, guaranteed, by the way, which doesn't happen in football. Anyway, he started 19 games. Sometimes you need reminders of this stuff. It's crazy how bad it was, okay? He played in 19 games from 2022 through 2024. He missed 11 games due to the suspension. We get that. But an additional 21 games because of various injuries. His numbers as a Cleveland starter, 9-10, that's the winning record. And again, we've always said this, it's not always on the quarterback, even though they get labeled with that. 19 touchdowns, 12 picks, and he completed only 61% of his passes. How bad is it? They signed Kenny Pickett in the offseason, who's a former first-round pick. And there were some people in Detroit who wanted a guy like Kenny Pickett. And they feel like, they're not going to reach for it, but if a quarterback is there, they're going to go for it with the number 2 overall pick. Don't know. Can't say that I would necessarily go for that. My guess is if Cam Ward does not go 1, Cleveland might do something like that. It's just a guess. So the quarterback position is always going to be a topic of discussion. And there is that old cliche in Detroit, the 2 hardest jobs in Detroit, or really the state of Michigan, is goaltender for the Red Wings. Ask Chris Osgood. Not nearly appreciated as much as he should be. And the starting quarterback. And the most secure job, or the one everybody wants and roots for, is the backup quarterback for the Lions. I don't know if that's the case for Hendon Hooker, because we haven't seen Hendon Hooker. I do know when the Lions drafted him out of Tennessee, people were all kinds of fired up.
What a steal.
We've got our quarterback for the future. Remember, Trent, last year, somebody actually texted us, you could trade him for a first-round pick. After we got done telling them to put the blunt out, we had to remind them that is not the going rate for a guy who hasn't taken a snap and was a 3rd-round pick. There's not a general manager out there who goes, you know what? I'm going to give up a first for last year's 3rd who hasn't played a down. Makes no sense, right? Anyway, at the annual spring meeting, Brad Holmes has insisted that he has not lost confidence in Hendon Hooker as the backup. His quote exactly. Still got high hopes for him, but nobody's going to be given a job. If Hendon wants to be the number 2 quarterback, then win the number 2 quarterback job. Absolutely love it. Now, remember, he had a knee injury his first year. Look, we just got done talking about whether you give up on people or not, young players. I wouldn't give up on Hendon Hooker. Is it concerning to me that here's a guy in practice has not shown enough to force coaches to say, this is our guy. If the main guy gets hurt, you bet it is. That's a major red flag right now. All right. And I know there are different rules for different players, different rules for different people, different rules for different draft picks. You're a first rounder, you're going to get more leeway. Why do you think Andre Ware stuck around? Wasn't a good quarterback, but he's a first round pick. Why do you think Joey Harrington stuck around? Wasn't real good, but he's a first round pick. You're going to give them more the benefit of the doubt. All right. I don't care if it's Reggie Rogers. But if you're a third round pick, you're going to have to prove it. You're going to get a little bit more leeway if you're a free agent Nate Sudfeld, for crying out loud. But you better prove it. And I love that message from Brad Holmes. I know you and I are both saying that's understood, isn't it? Don't you have to earn everything? Not necessarily. I told you, longer leashes for different players. So here's a guy who did have a knee injury his last year at Tennessee. That's the reason he went in the third round. Most people are like, he's a first round talent. Remember? I mean, Trent just said it. What a steal. Because people thought he was a first round draft pick. Oh my gosh, I would have taken him in the first round. That's why you're not the general manager, thankfully, number one. And number two, you don't take injured players that high, at least regularly. You don't. So he had that knee injury, was splitting back up reps with Nate Sudfeld, as Dave Burkett puts it in the Free Press. And in the regular season, 3 games, mop-up duty, completed 9 passes for 62 yards. There's nothing there for you to sink your teeth into and say, yes, I feel like he's starting to turn the corner. There's nothing there. I'll bring it back to what my buddy said to me last night. He's like, there's a little concern for Cole Keith because they gave him a contract and he really didn't earn it. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. It's not like it's a knee crippling contract, number one. Number two, other organizations have signed some of their young players and we've given them praise, the Atlanta Braves specifically. Number three, the dude hit 262, hit 300 in a probably a small sample size against lefties. He's going to hit. He's going to hit. I don't know if we can say that about Hendon Hooker because we haven't seen it. And when coaches aren't seeing it either, and they see him every day, and it's not just you and me going to training camp wearing our Lions gear and saying, hey, Trent, Hendon Hooker just threw a beautiful pass right down the sideline to Khalif Raymond. That was a great pass, wasn't it? It sure was, Shep. I loved it. Yeah, but here's the problem. He's in shorts, no shoulder pads, and it's 7-on-7. Yeah, you're right. Good point. That's okay, man. I'm hopeful for the future, right? Coaches are looking at everything. And not only are they looking at it on the field, they're going back into the film room. And they're breaking down every nook and cranny in his game. And they still didn't see it enough to feel comfortable enough to say, that's our guy, if our main guy goes down. So I'm feeding off, to be fair to Hendon Hooker, I'm feeding off what the Lions coaches' message is to us. Right? I mean, don't you feel like you got sent a message from the Lions coaches a year ago? When Lions coaches are going, let's bring Teddy Bridgewater back. Question in the back of the room. Might be a little out of shape. It's okay. It's fine. Got to be better than the guy we got right now.
Yeah, the fact that he was a better option coming off the street.
That's a
coming out of retirement.
That's a real problem. You know, when you've got to do something like that. This is not the Monty Williams situation. Let's pull him out of retirement for a year or so and make him the highest paid guy, even though his heart's not in it. This kid's heart is supposedly in it, and it's still not there. But I'm not going to give up on it. But I do love what Brad Holmes is telling. You've got to earn this. Just because you're my draft pick doesn't mean I can't turn my back on you based on your production or lack thereof. I think it's awesome. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, I ran across this article the other day, and I found it fascinating. ESPN Plus rated the top quarterbacks over the last 25 years, the top 100 quarterbacks. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this? Yes
No.
or no? I'm sorry, the top 90 quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker, ironically enough, we're talking about Hendon Hooker, was number 89. Now, this is not the gospel. Doesn't mean I agree with every single pick, but I'm going to give you some of the people associated with our area. Is it a Michigan State? Is it a Michigan? Is it a Lions quarterback? Did they ever play for the Lions? And so on and so forth. Hendon Hooker was number 89. Only Max Hall was rated lower. This took a lot, and I mean a lot, of research, but it's also very subjective. There are 4 Lions, 1 Michigan, 1 MSU, or 1 Central Michigan, I should say, and no MSU quarterbacks. There are also Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the latter third of this poll. Oklahoma has 6 Qs, Alabama 5, and OSU 5. I don't know if I piqued your interest on that or not. But Hendon Hooker is at number 89, okay? There's a Lion rep. Another Lion rep is at number 82. Who might that be? The aforementioned Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville from 2011 to 2013. There is another Lion at number 62. Racking your brain a little bit, wondering a little bit, okay? It's Joey Harrington, the aforementioned Joey Harrington, who people need to know, Mike Bellotti Oregon program just was in shambles. Then Harrington comes in, and they go 21-3 in 2 years. And they were number 2 in the country. And he threw for 350 yards in the Fiesta Bowl. I'm not justifying the pick. I'm just telling you, at the time, people loved the draft pick. And then Joey Harrington met the press, and I was part of it. And the press left, and the fans, read about it, watched it, listened to it, and go, this dude's a pompous ass. He hasn't proven anything. He's a snarky SOB. Anyway,
Yikes.
Huh?
I said yikes.
Yeah, it was alarming. It was really alarming. So he was at number 62. And then a Lion is at number 14. And then you start to wonder a little bit, who else could it possibly be at 14? And this person was ranked higher than Jaden Daniels, for example. Yeah. It's Kellen Moore. Wait, what? The coach?
Wow.
Yeah, it's Kellen Moore. People forget how good he was in college. 142 touchdowns, 28 picks, 70% completion rate, 50-3. When you want wins, this is what I hear from people all the time. I want you to win for him. Kellen Moore won at Boise State. So immediately you're going, oh my God, give me a break. Well, guess what? They were 6-0 against power conference teams, and they went 50-3 under his guidance. Doesn't make him a great pro by any stretch. We're talking about the collegiate years. Too often, my mind, I'm sure yours does too, this is how good this guy was in the pros. He must have been really good in college. Not always.
Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. He's good, not great. Drafted largely based on potential, right? The Chiefs at the time had their franchise player or franchise quarterback in Alex Smith at the time.
Well, Alex Smith was a hell of a player in college, and he was a really good pro.
Yeah.
He was.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he was a really good pro, if not for the injuries. And I get it. People are like, oh, you get injured all the time. Listen, that dude's in the College Football Hall of Fame for a reason. He rushed for over 1,000 yards, threw for 5,000. Really good player. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, you mentioned Hall of Famers. There's 2 Hall of Famers on this list. The top 90 from ESPN+. One is Patrick Mahomes, and one is Aaron Rodgers. Neither one of them, again, this isn't the gospel, neither one is rated higher than Joey Harrington. Neither one of them is rated higher than a Mid-American Conference quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is at 64, and Aaron Rodgers is at 66. That's how they have them ranked. which, to be honest with you, makes me go, you know what? Maybe this is a really good ranking because they're not looking at their pro statistics. They're not looking at the impact they've made at the NFL level.
It is tough to go back and put yourself in the mindset before.
Yeah.
Knowing
really
what you
hard.
know now, it's a really hard thing to do.
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
Who do you think the Michigan quarterback on here is? Last 25 years. It's Denard Robinson.
Is it?
Denard
Okay, I was going to
Robinson.
guess maybe JJ.
He's at number 56. Well, I thought it might be JJ McCarthy as well. But it's Denard Robinson at number 56. He's voted one better than the MAC quarterback. Who's the MAC quarterback?
Ben
It's not the only
Roethlisberger?
MAC quarterback. I'm sorry. That's why I say it's not the only MAC quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger's in there. Yes. It's Dan Lefevre.
Oh, nice.
Now, and I don't know if people know, there's also Jordan Lynch. Jordan Lynch is in this list, and he played at Northern Illinois. He was a finalist for the Heisman. Dan Lefevre, 3-time MAC champion, more than 3,000 passing yards and 700 rushing yards per season. Brian Kelly was his coach. He would then go to Cincinnati. Then Butch Jones was his coach. He would then go to Cincinnati, then Tennessee. CMU has not won a MAC championship since Dan Lefevre left in 2009. Pretty cool. But I find it very interesting. And it's a good poll because of what we had already said. It's basically, hey, they're able to separate how good or bad a guy was at the next level or didn't even reach the next level. Kellen Moore, for the most part, backup. Dan Lefevre, for the most part, backup. And still apply it to what's going on. Now, I know what you're asking. Before we get out of here, come on, you got to tell me who's number one. Who do you think number one? Over the last 25 years, the best college quarterback, according to this list, is what?
Tim Tebow.
Nope.
Who do they got?
He's 4.
Oh, okay. So he's up there at least. Who's number one?
I guess Tim Tebow too. It's Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
They go Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton, Vince Young, Tim Tebow, Joe Burrow.
Real quickly, where's Kyler Murray?
I didn't see Kyler Murray in there. He's at number 7. I'm sorry. He's
Okay.
at number 7. Yeah. Deshaun Watson is 6th.
Fun list.
I didn't know all 90 of them, so you had to bear with me. I did have Oklahoma with 6 of them. Jason White is in there, for example. Thanks to everybody for listening here this